Hey Copper Nerds, let's talk about a few of my favorite 1794 large cent varieties that are both affordable and have really cool diagnostic die breaks. Now when I say affordable, I don't mean cheap, because I think if you are watching this channel, you're probably well aware that there's no such thing as a cheap 1794 large cent unless it is also kind of hideous. But for a few $100s, which you might think is a lot of money or you might think is a little bit of money, but in the context of 1794 large cents, it's on the low end. For a few $100s, you can pick up a Sheldon 26 or a Sheldon 32 that is serviceable, identifiable, and has some neat die break features. So let's take a look at these. I'm just going to talk a little bit about them, and then I'll insert some photos to give you a better look at the features that I'm talking about on these. And full disclosure, I'm going to tell you what I paid for these and show them off to you. None of them are real spectacular coins. They're all sort of low to low mid-grade examples with problematic surfaces, but they're cool. First up, the Sheldon 26, which I like less than I do the Sheldon 32, which is the other coin we're going to look at. This one I picked up on eBay for $360. I got it in specific because it has a fairly advanced die crack on the reverse, two of them actually. One goes up through the E in states, that appears first, and then the bigger crack develops later and runs through the S at the beginning of states, and then it gets real fat as it moves towards the center of the coin on the reverse. So that one's really cool. Sheldon 32 also has a crack through S, and those are very similar cracks, honestly. But you will always know if it's a 26 or a 32 because the crack through the E appears first on the 26 before the crack appears through the S in states. And then on the 32, you don't have that second crack. So when you look at the crack through S, you can tell because it takes a slightly different path through the letter. But the second thing you look at once you see that crack is whether there's one through E, and then you'll know it's a 26 or a 32. Another thing that is really cool about the Sheldon 32, and I'll show you pictures, you won't see it here, is there is a clash mark that's common on the reverse where the cap, the Liberty cap itself clashed on the reverse. And you can see as many as 7 different distinct clash marks from that Liberty cap on the reverse. So I'll show you the clash mark on this one, and then I'll show you another example that has multiple clashes. What else I like about the 32 is that it has a cud that develops above the L in Liberty on the obverse right there. And this obverse is used at least 3 times. In fact, I'll just consult a reference book here real quick. One of those 3 times it appears is on the very rare wheel spoke Sheldon 33, which I don't have an example of yet. Yeah. So you're gonna first get it on the 32, which is this coin here, and it's in the early die states, you're not gonna have that. My example is very late die state. Then you get the wheel spoke, we'll carry that cud. There it is in early versus late die state. And then also the rare single berry 34. Also will have that same obverse with the cud, and it appears that it develops an additional crack through the cap as well. Okay, I'm gonna start off with a few photos here, and then we'll come back and talk about them individually in a little bit more detail. I also hear my family just got home, so we're gonna get interrupted one way or the other. I'll be back. All right, so those were a couple of pictures. I'm a little out of sequence here. The 26 has got kind of a cool obverse. It's the divided date. Liberty's got some kind of funky hair that's unique to that obverse design, which is on both the 25 and 26. The 32s. This one I picked up from Dan Trollin for 360 bucks. It's got some nice brown surfaces, some damage through the eye that's unfortunate, but it's very late dye state on the reverse. So you'll see some good pictures of that. And then, got these all out of sequence. I just keep my notes on a little card along with my coins in their capsules, and then I store their provenance separately. But this is my other Sheldon 32. It presents the cud a little more nicely on the obverse. It's earlier dye state, so you'll see that that crack through the S is not quite as advanced. And it's got a like a rotated dye issue. So when you flip it right over, it's 90 degrees rotated. This one I paid 555 bucks for, and I overpaid for it intentionally. I just really like the corrosion on this one, as ridiculous as that sounds. It's got fairly uniform corrosion coverage across the coin, other than where it's worn off from circulation or handling or whatever. And it's kind of got greens and blacks and blues and purples. I'll see if I can capture some of those colors in the photos. But I'm mostly talking about these two. If you're looking to get a 1794 on a budget and you want something that's neat that you can talk about, consider the Sheldon 32 and the Sheldon 26 in advanced late dye states. These coins might not be a whole heck of a lot to look at as they sit here right now, but when you're showing it to somebody or appreciating it yourself, when you have those unique diagnostics where you can say, this isn't like the most beautiful coin ever, but check it out, it's in a very late dye state. Look at that advanced crack through the S, the center of the die is sunken as well and worn prematurely. It adds a little more excitement to showing off an otherwise lower grade affordable coin. Let me grab a couple other examples. We were just talking about how the 25 and 26 share an obverse. This is my 25. It's also fairly low grade and it's got some damage, but that divided date obverse, and you can see the hair is just unusual. It's got sort of like a gap right there where it feels like they didn't really finish engraving the hair details. But between these two, I mean, the obverse, neither one of them is fantastic. And then when you flip it over and look at the reverse, this one's got a really awesome giant die crack there and one there. As we've talked about, this doesn't have much exciting going on. So if I was gonna pick one of these two to be proud of and show off and clang them together in front of you all on video, I would go with this one over the 25, the 26 over the 25. And then this isn't the greatest example, but this is a nice coin. It's a Sheldon 51. It's a rare coin. It's a rarity 5 minus. But, you know, and there's a short bust. You can make, oh yeah, it's the short bust variety. And the hair detail is intricate and interesting. It's fairly distinct in terms of the shape of the engraving of the hair. But there's just not anything real exciting to look at. I'd almost have more fun showing off one of my Sheldon 32s with both the obverse and reverse features of the cud and the die cracks. This one, the cud's kind of worn off, but it's got the big die crack on the reverse. Over, you know, a rarer variety that is in nicer condition. These are almost more interesting to talk about than something that's just sort of a standard 1794. So if you're looking at 1794s, I think you want to decide what it is that you're after, what it is that you want. And if what you want is to be on a budget, I would put some thought into the reality that you're gonna get an ugly coin. Start with that. If you're on a budget of $300 or $400, you're not gonna get a nice looking coin anyway. And with that in mind, it makes sense to me to track down something that has some neat diagnostics. And again, I think die cracks are one of the coolest diagnostics that are very common to 1794s. And I think that the 32 and the 26 are just both really good options. Man, it's hard to keep my backdrop clean here. That's my own damn fault, but I don't know. I kind of figured that when I'm at coin shows and conferences, if I'm wearing this pattern sweater, which I wear anyways, and have a bunch of them laying around, that you guys will be able to pick me out because I don't show my face on camera. Anyway, that tangent aside, back to business. I really think that the 32 and 26 are two of the coolest affordable options that are still very fun, even in low grades, as long as they're later die state. I would definitely shoot for something closer to terminal die state than earlier die state like this one is when you're looking at those cracks. But both of these, as you'll see in the pictures, are very nice depictions and illustrations of that late advanced die crack. And that's what a few $100 can get you in 1794s. Thanks for tuning in to this chaotic little video, and feel free to hit me up in the comments. And I will catch you on the next one. Peace.